The hospital cafeteria smelled like disinfectant and burnt coffee. I sat across from my father and mother. My younger brother's latest test results spread between us like accusations. Stage 4 renal failure, Dad said, tapping the paper. He needs a kidney. You're a perfect match. I understand that, I said quietly, but I have legitimate medical concerns. Mom's eyes were red from crying. Medical concerns? Your brother is dying. I'd been through this conversation 17 times in the past month. Each time I explained the same facts. My autoimmune condition, my doctor's warnings, the genuine risk to my own health. Each time they acted like I was making excuses. Dr. Morrison said, Dr. Morrison doesn't know what it's like to watch your son waste away. Dad interrupted. His jaw was tight. We're not asking anymore. We're telling you. You're doing this. I stayed calm. I need to think about. His fist hit the table. Other diners turned to stare. There's nothing to think about. Family comes first. You donate or you're not part of this family anymore. That was Tuesday. By Friday the pressure had intensified. My phone buzzed constantly. Texts from aunts, uncles, cousins I hadn't spoken to in years. All saying the same thing. Do the right thing. Save your brother. How can you be so selfish? My brother sat in his hospital bed, thin and pale, IVs running into both arms. I don't want to die, he said when I visited. Please, I'm only 26. I know, I said softly. I'm not refusing to help. I'm trying to find the safest way. The safest way for who? His voice cracked. You're healthy. I'm dying. What more do you need to know? Mom appeared in the doorway. The transplant coordinator wants to schedule your evaluation next Monday. I haven't agreed to the evaluation. You don't have a choice. Her tone was ice. This is happening. I walked out before the argument could escalate. In the parking garage, I sat in my car and called Dr. Morrison again. Your lupus is manageable now, she said carefully, but major surgery could trigger a serious flare. There's also your family history of kidney disease. Donating could put you at significant risk later. So it's not safe. It's not impossible. But the risk-benefit analysis is complicated. This isn't my decision. It's yours. No one can force you to donate an organ. Except my family was trying to do exactly that. Saturday morning, they showed up at my apartment. All of them. Mom, Dad, my brother in a wheelchair, 2 uncles, an aunt. We're not leaving until you agree, Dad announced, pushing past me into the living room. I stood by the door. You can't just we can. And we are. Mom positioned herself on the couch. We'll stay here every day until you see reason. For 6 hours they took turns. My brother crying about wanting to see his 30th birthday. My mother describing the funeral she'd have to plan. My uncles talking about family loyalty and sacrifice. My aunt reading Bible verses about loving your neighbor. I said no, calmly repeatedly. No. At 6 p.m., Dad stood up. His face was purple. You're really going to let him die? I'm not letting anyone die. I'm protecting my own health so I can bullshit. He stepped closer. You're a coward. You're selfish. You're a disgrace to this family. My uncle grabbed his arm. Let's go. She's not going to change her mind today. They filed out, my brother last. He looked at me with hollow eyes. I hope you can live with this. The door closed. I sat on my kitchen floor and cried for an hour. Sunday the hospital called. My brother's condition had worsened. Emergency dialysis. They were moving him to ICU. I drove there immediately. Arriving at 9 p.m., the family was gathered outside his room, 15 people in the waiting area, all wearing identical expressions of grief and accusation. Dad saw me and stood. Now you show up. I came as soon as I heard. Too little too late. He walked toward me. The doctors said he might not make it through the night. This is on you. That's not fair. Fair. His voice rose. Other families in the waiting area looked over. You want to talk about fair? My son is dying because his sister won't help him. That's what's not fair. Mr. Thompson, please lower your voice, a nurse said from the station. Dad ignored her. You have a chance to save him, and you're choosing yourself. What kind of person does that? Someone who's trying to make a responsible medical decision. Responsible. He laughed bitterly. You're killing him. You're murdering your own brother. That's enough, I said quietly. It's not nearly enough. He stepped into my space. You're going to donate that kidney. Tomorrow. I don't care what I have to do to make it happen. You can't force me to watch me. Security appeared then. 2 officers approaching our group. Is there a problem here? No problem, Mom said quickly. Just a family discussion. The guards looked at Dad, then at me. "Ma'am, are you all right?" "I'm fine. I'm leaving." I turned toward the elevator. Behind me, Dad shouted, "Run away. That's all you're good at. Running away while your brother dies." I pressed the elevator button. The doors opened. "You're killing him." Dad's voice echoed down the hallway. "You're killing your brother and you don't even care." I stepped inside. The doors started to close. Then Dad ran. His footsteps pounded on linoleum. "You're not leaving until you agree." His hands hit my shoulders. Hard. A violent shove. I fell backward out of the elevator. Off balance. My feet tangled. I twisted trying to catch myself. The stairs. I'd been standing at the stairwell entrance, not the elevator. I fell. Concrete edges caught my spine, my ribs, my head. 12 steps. I counted them on the way down, each impact a separate explosion of pain. I hit the landing. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't move. Above me, Dad's face appeared at the top of the stairs. "Get up. Stop being dramatic." Then Mom screaming. People running. Footsteps thundering down. A nurse knelt beside me. "Don't move. Don't try to move. She's fine," Dad was saying. "She just fell. She's always been clumsy." "Sir, step back." More nurses. A doctor. Someone checking my pulse. My pupils. Pain everywhere. Possible spinal injury. Someone said, "Call it in." A stretcher appeared. Hands carefully, efficiently immobilized my neck and back. The ceiling tiles passed overhead as they wheeled me down the hallway. In the elevator, the actual elevator this time, I heard Dad still talking. "She needs to stop this nonsense and donate the kidney. My son is dying upstairs, and she's wasting everyone's time with Mr. Thompson. You need to return to the waiting area," a security guard said firmly. The ER was chaos. Bright lights, urgent voices, hands cutting away my jacket, X-rays, CT scan, questions I could barely answer through the pain. "Your father pushed you down the stairs?" the ER doctor asked. "Yes." "Did anyone else see this happen?" The whole family was there. Security guards, nurses. She wrote something on her tablet. "I'm required to report this. There will be a police investigation." "Okay." An officer arrived 20 minutes later. He took my statement while I lay strapped to the backboard. "Yes, my father pushed me. Yes, it was deliberate. Yes, I wanted to press charges." "We have security footage," the officer said. "Multiple cameras in that hallway and stairwell. We'll review everything." They admitted me for observation. 2 cracked ribs, severe bruising, possible concussion. I was moved to a room on the 4th floor, far from the ICU where my family was gathered. At 3 a.m., I woke to voices outside my door. "Cannot believe she's actually pressing charges against her own father. All because she won't help her brother. Probably faking half her injuries for attention." I pressed the call button. A different nurse appeared. "Can I help you?" "There are people outside my room. Family members. I don't want them here." She nodded. "I'll have security remove them, and put a note in your chart. No visitors without your explicit approval." "Thank you." Monday morning, a woman in a gray suit knocked on my door. "I'm Amanda Wells from the hospital's Transplant Ethics Board. May I come in?" "Of course." She sat, pulling out a tablet. "I've been made aware of the incident involving you and your father. I need to ask you some questions about the kidney donation situation." I told her everything. The pressure campaign, the threats, the constant harassment, my legitimate medical concerns that no one would acknowledge. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said, "You're aware that coerced organ donation is strictly prohibited by federal law and medical ethics guidelines." I suspected. "The surveillance footage from Saturday night shows your father physically assaulting you in an apparent attempt to force your compliance with the donation. This footage has been forwarded to 7 members of our Transplant Ethics Board, the hospital's legal department, and local law enforcement." My heart rate jumped. The monitor beeped faster. "What does that mean for my brother?" I asked. Miss Wells chose her words carefully. "Any transplant involving family members requires extensive evaluation of the donor's consent. When there's evidence of coercion, especially violent coercion, the ethics board must investigate whether the family environment would allow for truly voluntary consent. That investigation is now underway, so his transplant is on hold. The living donor program for your family is suspended pending review. We're exploring deceased donor options and other alternatives for your brother's care." She stood. I want you to know that you have every right to refuse organ donation for any reason. No one, family, doctors, anyone, can force you to undergo major surgery. What your father did was assault, and what your family has been doing constitutes medical coercion. Both are serious offenses. After she left, I stared at the ceiling. My phone buzzed. Text from my mother. How could you do this to us? The hospital won't let anyone donate now. You've killed him. I deleted it. Detective Santos arrived Tuesday afternoon. We've reviewed the footage from 3 different security cameras. The assault is clear and unambiguous. Your father has been arrested and charged with second-degree assault. Given the circumstances, attempting to coerce organ donation through violence. The DA's office is considering additional charges. What happens now? There'll be a court hearing. You'll need to testify. His attorney will likely argue it was an accident, family stress, temporary loss of control, but the footage is pretty damning. He ran at you with obvious intent, pushed you with significant force, and showed no immediate remorse. Wednesday, my brother's doctor called. I wanted you to hear this from me directly. We've placed your brother on the National Deceased Donor Waiting List with high priority. We're also exploring paired donation programs and other living donor options outside your immediate family. His prognosis is serious but not hopeless. Thank you for telling me. For what it's worth, he said quietly. The transplant team reviewed your medical records. Given your lupus and family history, Dr. Morrison was right to have concerns. Donation would have carried significant risk for you. You made a medically sound decision. I hung up and cried again. Not from pain this time. From relief that someone finally acknowledged I wasn't just being selfish. Thursday morning, Miss Wells returned with 2 other board members. We've completed our preliminary review. The ethics board has made several determinations. First, your father's assault constitutes attempted medical coercion, under Federal Statute 42 U.S.C. 274E. Second, the family pressure campaign you described meets the criteria for donor coercion. Third, the hospital failed to adequately protect you from this coercion during the evaluation process. She paused. The board is implementing new protocols for family donor evaluations. We're also recommending that the state medical board review your father's medical license. I understand he's a physician. I nodded. Family practice. 30 years. That review will examine whether his actions constitute professional misconduct warranting license suspension or revocation. One of the other board members leaned forward. We also want you to know that we've filed a report with Adult Protective Services. What happened to you may be part of a pattern of family violence that needs to be addressed. They left copies of their preliminary findings. 7 signatures at the bottom. 7 transplant board directors who had reviewed the footage and documentation. My phone buzzed. Another text from Mom. Your father is in jail. Are you happy now? Your brother might die, and your father is in jail. I hope you're proud of yourself. I blocked her number. Friday afternoon, I was discharged. A victim's advocate from the DA's office drove me home. Mr. Thompson made bail this morning, she said. But there's a protective order. He cannot contact you, come within 500 feet of you, or make any attempts to communicate through third parties. Violations could result in immediate rearrest. At my apartment, I found 17 messages on my voicemail, all from family members, all saying variations of the same thing. I'd destroyed the family. I'd killed my brother. I was selfish and cruel and heartless. I deleted them all and changed my number. Saturday, a courier delivered legal papers. My father was suing me for defamation and false imprisonment. His attorney claimed I'd fabricated the assault story to avoid donating the kidney. I called the detective. Don't worry, Santos said. We have the footage. 3 angles like I told you. Shows everything. His lawyer is grasping at straws. Sunday morning, exactly 1 week after the assault, the hospital called again. My brother had been matched with a deceased donor. Surgery was scheduled for Monday. I sat with that information for a long time. Relief, guilt, anger, grief, all of it swirling together. He'd get his kidney. Not from me, but he'd get one. And I'd get my life back. Eventually. The preliminary hearing was scheduled for 3 weeks out. The DA's office was confident about the assault charge. The footage was irrefutable. The coercion charges were more complex, but supported by documented evidence. I thought about my father in that stairwell, his hands on my shoulders, his face contorted with rage. You're killing your brother, but I wasn't. I was protecting myself, making a medical decision about my own body. That was my right. The security footage had shown that. 3 cameras, 3 angles, irrefutable truth. 7 transplant board directors had reviewed it. 7 professionals who understood medical ethics and patient autonomy. 7 people who confirmed what I'd known all along. I wasn't the villain in this story. My phone buzzed. New number. I almost didn't answer. This is Dr. Peterson from the Transplant Ethics Board. I wanted to let you know that our full report has been filed. We're recommending systemic changes to how the hospital handles living donor evaluations, particularly in cases of family pressure. Your case has exposed serious gaps in our protocols. Thank you for telling me. I also wanted you to know that the footage and our findings have been forwarded to the State Medical Board as promised. Your father's license hearing is scheduled for next month. The evidence suggests a pattern of behavior that compromises his ability to practice medicine ethically. After he hung up, I looked out my window at the city below. People going about their lives, unaware of the small dramas playing out in hospital stairwells and transplant ethics board meetings. Somewhere in this city, my brother was being prepped for surgery. My mother was probably at his bedside. My father was probably with his lawyer planning his defense. And I was here, ribs still aching, bruises still fading, but finally, free from their demands. The consequences were just beginning. Criminal trial, civil lawsuit, medical board hearings, family rupture that might never heal, but I was alive, safe, free. The hospital footage had reached 7 transplant board directors, and everything had changed.